You know the feeling. It's the end of a long day. Your body isn't tired, but your soul is exhausted. Exhausted not from the work you did, but from the war you fought. A silent, invisible war that takes place inside your head. The war against the notification that arrived and soured your mood. The war against your boss's criticism, which echoes in your mind hours later. The war against the photo you saw on social media that made you feel inadequate. The war against the anxiety for a future you cannot control. You feel like a leaf in the wind. A comment throws you to the left. A like lifts you up for a second. A piece of bad news throws you to the ground. Your inner peace is fragile. Your equilibrium depends on the outside world, a world that is chaotic, noisy, and indifferent to you. You believe that, to have peace, the world needs to change, that people need to be kinder, that circumstances need to be perfect. And that belief is your prison. Now imagine a man who held absolute power over the greatest empire the earth has ever known, but who, every day, woke up to face plagues decimating his people, treacherous generals plotting his death, barbarians attacking his borders, and disease corroding his own body. That man was Marcus Aurelius, and he not only survived, he reigned with a calm and wisdom that echoes through almost 2 millennia. How? He had no power over the plague, over betrayal, or over war. He had power over one thing only, his mind. While on frozen battlefields, he wrote a diary. But it was no ordinary diary. It was a war manual, a training guide for forging an impenetrable mind, a code for building an inner fortress. This video will not give you superficial tips on positive thinking. This video will hand you the keys to that fortress. Starting today, you will learn the Emperor's Law. You will stop being a leaf in the wind and start being the mountain. The wind may blow, the storm may rage, but the mountain remains. You will stop reacting, and you will start to rule. The first and most important law of the Emperor is this: there is a clear boundary between your kingdom and the rest of the universe, and your kingdom is your mind. Think about it. You do not control the economy. You do not control the weather. You do not control what your neighbor thinks of you. You do not even control if the person you love will love you back tomorrow. Trying to control the uncontrollable is the definition of insanity. It is the recipe for frustration and suffering. Marcus Aurelius understood this on a visceral level. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Now imagine your mind as a citadel, an impenetrable fortress. Inside the walls is everything you control. Your judgments, your reactions, your choices, your will, your integrity. Outside the walls is everything else: the opinions of others, health, wealth, reputation, accidents, death. What hurts you is not what happens outside the walls. What hurts you is your judgment about what happens. Someone insults you at work. The insult is an external event. It is an arrow shot from the outside. It hits the wall of your citadel. By itself, it has no power to enter. What lets it in? You do. You open the gates when you judge the insult as something terrible. When you think, "This is disrespectful, how dare he? This will ruin my reputation. I am a failure." At that moment, the arrow is no longer outside. You have brought it inside, and now it is poisoning your kingdom. The Emperor's training is simple, yet brutally effective. Faced with any event, before you react, before you feel the anger or the pain, you must become the sentry at the gate of your citadel and ask one single question. This thing that is happening, is it within my control or outside of it? Your flight was canceled? Outside of your control. The way you react to the cancellation? Within your control. Someone was rude to you? Outside of your control. Your decision not to stoop to their level? Within your control. You lost money on an investment? The outcome is outside of your control. The lesson you learn and the discipline you apply next time? Within your control.
This simple act of asking creates a space. And in that space between stimulus and response lies all your power. It is there that you cease to be a slave to circumstance and become the master of yourself. Make no mistake, the walls of your citadel are weak. They have been neglected for years. Any wind can shake them. But starting today, you begin to rebuild them, brick by brick, choice by choice. Every time you refuse to let someone else's opinion in, you add a stone. Every time you choose calm over anger, you reinforce the ramparts. Until one day you will realize that there may be a war raging outside, but inside your citadel there is silence, there is order, there is peace. Because the emperor is on the throne, and the emperor is you.
Once you understand the boundaries of your citadel, you learn the second law, the most active and powerful of all, the law that separates those who merely survive from those who truly thrive, the law of the alchemical fire. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And also, a blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. Think about it. A small fire, a weak flame, is extinguished by a little wind or a damp log thrown upon it. But a great inferno, a raging fire, it consumes everything. The wind makes it stronger. The damp log becomes fuel. Nothing can put it out. It transforms every obstacle into more power. Your mind must be that fire. Life will throw things at you. It will throw layoffs, betrayal, illness, loss, failure. The weak mind, the small fire, is extinguished. It says, "Why me? This is unfair. I give up." The emperor's mind, the alchemical fire, says, "More fuel." Were you fired? Good. This is the fuel I needed to finally start my own business, to find my true calling. The pain of the layoff is transformed into the flame of determination. Were you betrayed by someone you trusted? Painful, but useful. This is the fuel to strengthen my judgment, to learn about human nature, to value true loyalty. The pain of betrayal is transformed into the flame of wisdom. Did you fail at a project? Excellent. This is the fuel to find the flaws in my strategy, to learn humility, to develop resilience. The pain of failure is transformed into the flame of mastery. This is amor fati. It is not a passive love. It is not resigning yourself and saying, "It's okay." It is an active, voracious love. It is the decision that every atom of pain, every ounce of difficulty will be used. Nothing will be wasted. Everything will be burned as fuel to make you brighter, hotter, stronger. When you live by this law, the fear of adversity vanishes, because you stop seeing problems as something to be avoided and start seeing them as something to be consumed. You almost welcome the challenge because you know the fire inside you is greater than any obstacle outside of you. Your training, then, is this. Faced with any negative event, after recognizing it is outside your citadel, ask yourself, how can I use this? How can this poison be turned into medicine? How can this obstacle become my way? By doing this, you become an alchemist. You stop being a victim of your past and become the architect of your future, using the very bricks that were thrown at you to build your empire.
Now that you protect your mind with the citadel and fuel your spirit with the alchemical fire, it is time to learn the law that puts you on the offensive. The law that allows you to annihilate anxiety before it is even born. The law of sovereign disdain. The common man hopes for a good day. He wishes that no one will annoy him, that no problems will arise. His peace depends on luck. The emperor does not depend on luck. He prepares. Marcus Aurelius practiced something we now call premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Every morning he would prepare for the day as follows. He would say to himself, "Today I shall meet with people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and unsociable. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I, who have seen the nature of the good and the evil, none of this can harm me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. Analyze the genius of this. He wasn't being pessimistic. He was vaccinating himself. By expecting the worst of human nature, he was never caught by surprise. The rudeness of a servant, the conspiracy of a senator. It was expected, premeditated, and what is expected loses its power to shock, to hurt, to destabilize. That is sovereign disdain. It is not disdain for people, but a calm, rational disdain for the ability of events to disturb your peace. It's telling the future, bring it on. I've already seen you, and I am not impressed. This practice annihilates anxiety. Anxiety lives in uncertainty, in the fear of what if. What if the meeting goes poorly? What if they criticize me? What if I fail? The premeditation confronts the what if, looks it in the eye, and says, so what? What if the meeting goes poorly? I will maintain my composure and learn from the mistakes. What if they criticize me? Their opinion is outside my control. My integrity is within. What if I fail? I will use the failure as fuel for my fire. Your imperial training begins at dawn. Before you pick up your phone, before you turn on the TV, take 1 minute, just one. Close your eyes and rehearse the challenges of your day. The traffic, the difficult meeting, the tense conversation. Imagine yourself going through it all, not with anger, not with fear, but with calm, dignity, and control, with the posture of an emperor. When you do this, you cease to be an actor reacting to the scenes of life and become the director. You have already read the script. You know what's coming, and when the scene happens, you perform your role with mastery. Sovereign disdain is the final proof that your fortress is impregnable, because you are no longer just defending against attacks, you are anticipating them and rendering them powerless before they are even launched.
We have walked through an emperor's war manual. We learn to build the inner citadel where nothing we do not control can harm us. We learn to light the alchemical fire, which transforms every obstacle into power. And we learn to practice sovereign disdain, which prepares us for any battle and frees us from anxiety. This is not a philosophy to be admired. It is a system to be lived, a daily training. There will be days when you will fail. Days when you will open the gates of the citadel and let anger in. Days when your fire will seem weak and an obstacle will seem too great. Days when you will forget to prepare and be caught by surprise. It does not matter. What matters is what you do next. The emperor also failed, but he would get up, take his diary, and reaffirm his commitment to his principles. He would return to the training. True strength is not in never falling, but in always rising, with the same calm and determination. The world will continue to be chaotic. People will continue to be unpredictable. Life will continue to be full of challenges. None of that will change, but you can change. You can become the rock in the middle of the raging river. The water crashes, divides, makes noise, but the rock remains, motionless, in silence. Remember the fundamental truth that Marcus Aurelius left us. The power over your mind is your birthright. It is the only real power you have, and it is the only power you need. The world does not need to change for you to have peace. You only need to remember who rules your mind, and the throne is yours alone.